beautiful fall morning, but it is quite a bit colder outside now, so I've moved old Bess into the garage so that she doesn't get too much moisture. She's already got rust on her. All her screws are rusted. But what's great about my garage is it's already hooked up with the electricity. I already got a plug for my kiln because we have an electric car, which is great. And it's great to know that my kiln is running on solar power. That's pretty cool. Oh, there's Charlotte, my kitty. It was really, really cool. I've had a couple people reach out to me on the YouTube universe, and they commented that they have an old Cress kiln as well, and that there really isn't a lot of information out there about these old kilns. My kiln is so old, it does not have a kiln sitter. It also does not have, what is this thing called? There's a plate back here that says you can install it. A pyrometer. My kiln does not have a pyrometer, and it does not have a kiln sitter. It's just a kiln. All I have is this panel here. It has a FireMate speed control. It has a thumb wheel, a timer, and then a little temperature to set the temperature, but it doesn't tell you the temperature. I've been using a meat thermometer, which doesn't go very high, to check the cooling temperature to open it, which is not very technical at all. But at least I know if it's under 200 degrees before I open it. I also downloaded a PDF of the Orton pyrometric cone chart. It's come in really, really handy. You could get it for free online. For my bisque firing, I'm using the pyrometric cones, which is the self-supporting cones. And I'm using, my goal is to get to cone 04 for my bisque. So I've got 03, 04, and 05. I've also got these little shelf, what are they called? Post? Shelf posts? That's what we'll call them. We'll call them shelf posts. I also have these nifty little cones that are ultra lightweight, and I use these as my peephole cones. That makes me laugh every time, I don't know why. And then I have these heavy duty welding gloves for when I open the kiln, just to make sure I'm not burning myself. I keep a journal of my project records. So every time I do a fire, I will do a new journal entry. So today, I will write a new journal entry. So I want to get to cone 04, but I'm also using cone 05 and 03. I write what kind of clays I'm using. Right now I'm using all mystery clays. I'm using different white clays. It's nothing that I bought from the store. It's all clay that my aunt gave me, but they're in unmarked bags, so I don't know what they are. I write if I'm using any glazes. I'm looking at my old notes just to keep the same format. Now I will write time start, and I will put it in a little box. And once I've started my time, I'll write the time I started to the time I ended the kiln and the total time. This bisque fire was fairly successful, so I'm gonna try to keep the same formula. It ended up being 9 hours and 45 minutes. Now I'm gonna write the different settings. So I'll write what my FireMate is gonna be set at. I'm gonna set it at number 1, which is slow. My timer, because I want it to be slow, I'm gonna set for 12 hours. It usually ends up being quite a bit shorter, but I'm just gonna set it for 12. My temp dial seems to run hotter than what I actually set it at. So because a bisque fire, you want to get to cone 04 at a slow speed. It should be 1915 degrees. I set mine to 1900 degrees Fahrenheit. The temperature dial is in increments of 50 degrees. So 1750, 1800, 1850, 1900, right there. I'm going to set my thumb wheel, turn that way, to 0. And then I also write that my lid is going to be cracked open and that the top and bottom peep are going to be open as well when I start it. And then the exact time that I start, I will put in this little box and hit start. And then I'll keep a log every couple hours. I'll come back out here and check the kiln and see where the thumb wheels move to. I just kind of visually inspect it. At whatever point it starts turning hot red inside, I'll mark what time that is. That way I could compare my notes from each firing session. It just has been really, really, really helpful. So that's that. I've noticed that once the thumb wheel here gets to 9, the lights stay a constant red. They stop flickering on and off. And the thumb wheel slows way, way, way down. I am now at this little circle here shows how many hours it's been. So I set it for 12 hours, but this little circle is all the way at 0. And then when you push the button to start it, it starts slowly moving each hour. So right now it's been a little over 5 hours. And thumb wheel's at 9. And then can we see our cones? Look at that, our cones. That's the cone 05. That's cone 04. And then that's cone 03. They are not melting yet. When they start to get close to melting, this one right here will kind of get juicy and wet looking, and then it'll start to bend. So cone 05 has melted, and cone 04 is getting juicy. This is Cooper, my old man. So I have to keep him away from this because it's hot. And I'm just keeping my eye on the cone. Now my last kiln fire, the underglaze that I'm using Mako underglaze with a clear coat over it. And they are just not doing good. They are crazing and cracking and peeling off. And it's done it when I add it to greenware, and it's done it when I've added it to bisque. So I'm not sure what the problem is. I'm thinking the kiln is cooling down too quickly. I'm going to try to put it on hold, or it says stop manual on the FireMate speed control. I tried that a couple times, but it still seems to be heating up fast. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I might try turning it off and then turning it back on low. I read that you could soak it for like an hour to kind of like bring the temperature down low. I don't know, but I don't know how to do that. I've tried looking up all of the Cress manual stuff, and I can't figure out how to do it. I might have to call their customer service and see if anybody there knows how to use this old kiln, because I know the newer kilns, they're just different. Okay, it's 5 o'clock p.m. Cone 04 is bending. Ooh, I don't know what to do. I think what I'm gonna do, ooh, it's stressful. I don't wanna mess this up. I'm gonna put it on stop manual until I see that the cone 4 has totally bended where I want it to be, and then I'm gonna turn it off. That's what my plan is. So I'll write that down. Yeah, cone 5 is totally bent. Cone 4 is getting there, like pretty much like very close to where I want it to be. It's all like boop. It started like boop, and now it's like boop. I always like looking at the little cone thingy. It has an image of what your cone should look like. What I think the FireMate speed control does is when it's on stop manual, it prevents the thumb wheel from moving forward any further. It just keeps it locked there, which I assume keeps the temperature where it's at. 5:05 p.m. Cone 04 bent. I'm going to turn it off. So you turn it off, it's already on stop. You're gonna turn the thumb wheel to this little triangle and then turn the timer. It's like an old oven timer. Turn that to 0. Geez. So this part, I really don't know what to do. I don't know how to put it on a soak. I don't know if I should change the temperature because I don't want it to get back up to where it's at. Maybe I'll move the temperature to 1500. Okay, let me write down what I'm doing because this is something I've never done before. Thumb wheel. I guess medium would be 5 and the timer to 1, and it's 5:08. 5:08. Start. I'm gonna keep a close watch to make sure the cone 03 doesn't start bending. The cones have not melted anymore, which is good, but it's 5:56. It's not quite an hour, and the lights are off. The coils actually appear to be turned off. It's still glowing red inside, but the coils look like they're off. There's no sound. I don't know. The thumb wheel's at 5 is still on stop manual. The timer hasn't gone off yet. I'm not exactly sure why it turned off, but it did. So it was almost an hour of soaking. I don't know if it was really, I really don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and plug that up. That's on stop. I'm gonna go ahead and just turn that to 0. And turn the thumb wheel to the little triangle. Turn the temperature to 0, and it's off. There you go. It's now been 25 hours since I turned the kiln off. When I tested the temperature, it did read 10 degrees hotter inside the kiln than it did in the temperature of my garage. So I very quickly lifted the lid and put the meat thermometer on the top shelf and then just opened it as it cracked just to let it cool down. I'm thinking that it's the cooling process of the actual kiln. So I need to set a firing schedule to cool the kiln down slower rather than just turning it off and letting it do its thing natural, especially now that the weather is getting colder here. when it was 110 outside, maybe, having a 90-degree night isn't too bad for the kiln. I don't really know. I don't know. If you know and you could help me and give me words of wisdom, I would really appreciate it, because I am absolutely flying blind here. I really don't know what I'm doing, but I am having a lot of fun learning. I'm sad that I've had to throw some pieces away because they just got totally ruined from crazing. The bisque turned out beautiful, but the glaze. Oh dear. The learning process continues. I've noticed teeny tiny crazing going on. Oh yeah, it's bad. It's bad. This is Mako underglaze with clear coat. Crazing. Well, this is a student's little pinch pot that they made. It's luscious and beautiful, turned out great, no crazing. Her plate turned out beautiful. She used stroke and coat. It's gorgeous, no crazing. But all the other little plates from my class, all my students' work is crazing. Thank you for joining me in my journey of learning ceramics. If you have any tips, please be sure to share them in the comments. Make sure you subscribe so you keep up with my progress and other creative projects that I do. Check out my website, hardshellslimysnail.com, to see what goodies I have for sale at my store.